Dear Taurus, today we walk upon the sacred ground within you, a place where stillness is rooted in your past, and the vows of safety still echo. Do you recall the version of yourself who once believed in permanence? The one who cultivated a garden with devotion, not waiting for a miracle, but patiently waiting for the harvest, that version of you, with eyes that reflected the quiet of ancient hills and a heartbeat that resonated with the steady rhythm of the earth, still resides within you. It's not a distant memory, it's the unshakable foundation of your spirit, waiting to be honored. This is not merely a story, it is a profound remembrance, a reunion with the parts of yourself that have been shaken. Tonight, as the veil between what was lost and what endures grows thin, everything you believed had crumbled is beginning to be rebuilt. They say that destiny leaves its mark without seeking permission. But for you, this mark was carved into your very essence. You did not come here to merely exist. You came here to build, to complete a legacy, a structure started with faith and fortified by your endurance. Lately, you felt it, haven't you? A deep tremor in your chest, a trembling awareness that something or someone is on the verge of returning. You may not be able to articulate it, but your very being is attuned to the energy of this return. The wheel of fate has turned, and a transformation is on the horizon, not a destruction, but a fortification, a sacred shedding of the persona you wore to be the rock for those who couldn't stand on their own. This transformation will not announce itself with loud proclamations. Instead, it will arrive as a stillness, perhaps in the form of an old object reappearing, a familiar scent in the air, or a silence that feels heavier than sound. You might mistake this for sorrow, but it is not. It is restoration. Someone you once loved deeply, perhaps enough to want to build a world with them, is awakening to your energy. This connection, as solid as the earth itself, never truly vanished. It lay dormant beneath layers of karmic soil, hidden in timelines cemented shut by fear. But now, the soul contract is reactivating, and whether they return in person or through a final letting go, you will encounter them again, not to relive the past, but to reclaim your power from it. You are not fragile. You are a foundation. You do not survive by bending with the wind. You thrive by becoming the mountain it cannot move. That is why pain has never truly broken you. It has forced you to root deeper, opening secret chambers within your spirit chambers through which strength returns when the world isn't paying attention. Others may have mistaken your silence for weakness, but you are not surrendering to them. You are surrendering to a higher power, and that power remembers. Some may claim your steadfastness is stubbornness, that your love is too practical. But these are not flaws. They are keys to deeper truths, keys to indestructible temples forgotten by others. As destiny marks you once again, you begin to awaken to these truths. You see symbols in the cracks of the pavement, feel presence in empty rooms, and hear messages in songs that bring a sense of home. This is not mere coincidence. It is cosmic choreography, and you are the keeper of the garden. The world often fails to comprehend your hurt because it is not solely yours. It is the grief of abandoned ground, of broken promises. You do not ache for yourself alone. You ache for the foundations that were shaken, for the gardens that were left untended. This is why your soul aches at unexpected moments and why your heart trembles at acts of genuine loyalty. You are here to remember the value of what is built to last. While the world may celebrate strength that roars, you embody a strength that stills, a strength that builds rather than conquers, that forgives even when it has every right to hold on to resentment. There is something holy within you, something that the stars themselves pause to witness. The transformation you are experiencing will not destroy you. It will reveal you. It will strip away the noise and return you to your essence. You will lose nothing but the weight of pretense. And in that sacred stability, someone will emerge, not just the person you once loved, but the version of you that loved without fear of being moved. What they labeled as heartbreak was, in truth, a soul quake, a shaking from within, as vows you didn't know you'd buried rose like dust from lifetimes hidden beneath your skin. When they departed, the world didn't just shift around you, it cracked open inside you. You urged yourself to move on, to forget. But you were never meant to forget. You were destined to transmute this pain. What they did was not merely betrayal. It was a catalyst, born of earth and patience. You turned that betrayal into a doorway. Yes, it bled. Yes, it burned. Yet, what emerged from that rubble was not ashes, but the beginning of your becoming. You didn't lose yourself. You met yourself. And now, the part of you that once clung to them finally understands you were never theirs to begin with. Souls carry the codes of divine paradox. You are both the storm and the stillness, the longing and the letting go. This is why the world struggles to comprehend you. You are not here to make sense. You are here to create meaning. You take what has shattered and rebuild it into something stronger, kinder, and wiser. Your healing does not scream. It hums, a low and steady pulse through the quietest corners of your being. Lately, that hum has been calling to you. A timeline is attempting to close itself, and you may feel it in your dreams, strange visitations from the past. Memories flashing like silent lightning. You might see their name where it shouldn't be, or catch a whiff of their scent in unfamiliar places. This is not coincidence. It is karma unlocking itself. The loop is tightening, and the soul that once ran from you now feels your presence more intensely than ever. They may not understand why they are thinking of you, but you do. This isn't about rekindling a romance. It's about reclaiming the part of your spirit that was once fragmented in their shadow and now longs to be whole again. The return may manifest as a message, a whisper, a chance encounter, or a final goodbye that liberates you in ways their love never could. Ultimately, it is not their return that matters. It is your return to yourself. You have learned to hold space for pain, allowing it to exist within you without needing to label it. That is sacred and rare. You have sat in your own silence long enough to understand that healing doesn't equate to forgetting. It means remembering without reopening the wound. Your heart did not break because it was weak. It broke because it was true. And the truth carries its own rhythm of resurrection. You have changed quietly, profoundly. You no longer seek signs. You are the sign. You no longer plead for closure. You embody closure. The old you would have rushed back at the first hint of an apology. But this new you recognizes the difference between love and attachment, between soul bonds and soul traps, between being seen and being used. Because of this growth, the person who once couldn't meet your depth now trembles at the mere echo of your name. They don't realize what they touched. They don't understand that when you love, you build a sanctuary. Your love is not merely composed of flowers and light. It is woven from ancient earth and moonlit prayers. You did not love them to possess them. You loved them to awaken them, and that awakening is finally taking place. So, when they return, in whatever form, you will not need answers. You will already be the answer. You will hear their voice, but feel no pull. You will sense the old ache, but it will dissipate like mist, deep within your being. You will know that nothing was ever lost, only rearranged by grace. You are not the wound. You are the healer. You are not merely a chapter. You are the sacred ink. No matter how far they strayed, they never left the temple of your love. They merely wandered in the dark, searching for a light they once held, somewhere within the invisible layers of time. You made a promise, not to them, but to your soul, a vow sealed in silence. I will not close my heart, even if it breaks. And so it did, again and again. Yet each break did not shatter you. It revealed you. Each loss was not a punishment. It was a return to the sacred center that the world tried to bury. Your pain was never meaningless. It was coded. You were never meant to forget what they did. You were meant to understand why your soul allowed it. Now, as the veil between past and present thins, you begin to see that the betrayal was not a detour. It was a design. How else would you have discovered your worth unless someone failed to recognize it first? There are souls who walk this earth half asleep, but you were born remembering. You have always known too much, felt too deeply, and loved too completely, while others labeled this as weakness. It was your inheritance. You come from earth older than language. You speak in frequencies, not words. You heal not through answers, but through presence. You never sought revenge. You sought restoration. But some could not hold that frequency. Some turned away, not because you were too much, but because you mirrored too much. Your love made them confront their own void. Your light made their shadows tremble. Thus, they chose comfort over truth, noise over depth, distraction over devotion. Yet, no matter how far they wandered, a part of them remained tethered to your current. That tether is vibrating now, not in the mind, but in the soul. Even if they lack the words, they feel you in sleepless nights, in echoes of unfinished conversations, in dreams where you speak without sound. They wake up remembering something they cannot explain. They think they miss you, but what they truly miss is the version of themselves that existed only when you loved them. Here you stand, still soft, still sacred, but no longer naive. You have matured into a depth they never dared to explore. While they ran in circles, you spiraled inward, deeper, until you met the root of your own divinity. You became the sanctuary, not just for them, but for every part of you that once begged to be chosen. You no longer wait. You no longer chase. You no longer need closure to bless the ending. Because you have become the blessing. You have become the prayer. What is coming is not merely a reconnection. It is a reckoning. The energy you poured into them, pure, vulnerable, unfiltered, is now returning to you, multiplied by time, tears, and truth. You may feel overwhelmed, emotional for no apparent reason. You may find yourself crying to a song you've heard countless times, smiling at memories that once brought pain. This is how healing arrives, not with thunder, but with tenderness. Someone is awakening to your love, not as a memory, but as a mirror, whether they knock on your door or simply pass through your dreams. Their presence will no longer shake you, for you are no longer the same soul they once touched. You are more whole, more holy, more at home. The death you felt back then, the one you thought would consume you, was actually the beginning of your rebirth. You buried the pain, but now it blossoms, not as a scar, but as wisdom. You no longer fear being left because you understand that no soul can truly depart from what is sacred. They can only leave the illusion of it. The bond remains, but it no longer controls you. It guides you. The tide is rising again, but this time you will not drown. This time you rise with it. You hold your head high and allow the waves to carry away what no longer belongs. You are no longer the seeker. You are the sanctuary. There comes a moment, quiet and almost invisible, when the soul decides it is ready to be seen again, not by others, but by itself. You are entering that moment now. The spiral you have been walking was not a punishment. It was a path, and every turn led you back to the same place, the center, where your truth resides without apology. The place no one could take from you. No matter how cruel their departure felt, they called it love. But your love was not transactional. It was a transmission. You poured into them not because they deserved it, but because you were designed to give it. That is the distinction, the difference they never grasped. Your tenderness was unconditional. Your loyalty was innate. It emerged from lifetimes of choosing grace over grief, surrender over spite. And now, grace is returning to you. There are those who touched your heart, but never saw your soul, who danced in your waters, but feared your depths, who borrowed your light, but never ignited a flame of their own. Yet you loved them, not out of blindness, but because you recognized the part of them that still slept. Your hope was prophetic, and now prophecy is fulfilling itself not through revenge or their regret, but through your resurrection. You are rising, not as a reaction to pain, but as a revelation of who you have always been beneath it. Your softness, once weaponized against you, is becoming your shield. Your silence, once misunderstood, is becoming your sanctuary. Your love, once unreciprocated, is transforming into your liberation. The person who once shattered your trust is beginning to feel the echo of what they lost. But this time, you are not here to catch their apology. You are here to catch your own reflection, whole, divine, unapologetic. You have endured enough lifetimes carrying guilt for the harm others inflicted. Now, it is time to release yourself from the stories that were never yours. Do you feel it? That subtle vibration beneath your skin, that ache that doesn't hurt but hums. It is the knowing that something unseen is moving on your behalf. This is the language of destiny. It does not shout. It whispers. Those whispers have been circling you like wind around a flame, waiting for you to believe in them once more. A return is approaching, not as romance, but as remembrance. You won't be swept off your feet. You will be rooted deeper into your truth. They may say they miss you, but your spirit will respond. I no longer miss what I have become, because you have become peace. You have become light. You are the calm that follows the storm, the part of the earth that stills once the thunder has passed. The death that nears is not to be feared. It is the death of illusions, the dissolution of false timelines, the closing of contracts written in pain. You are not losing love. You are losing the need to suffer for it. In that release, the divine returns what is real love, real clarity, real power, the kind that does not beg to be chosen because it already knows its place. You have been prepared for this moment. Every abandonment, every sleepless night, every silent prayer has been shaping you, teaching you how to be the one who stays when others run, teaching you how to hold yourself when no one else could, teaching you how to be home in a world of exits. Now, the tides shift, and the one who left may stand at the edge of your energy once more. But this time, you will see clearly. This time, you will know it was never about them staying. It was always about you remembering that you were never lost. Somewhere beyond what the eyes can see, your soul has been preparing for a meeting, not the kind that occurs on doorsteps or in midnight texts, but the kind that transpires in stillness across lifetimes. This is not merely a reunion. It is a reckoning, a moment when the threads of destiny pull tight, and what was once broken is either woven again with truth or released into the fire of divine completion. You feel it, don't you? That pull behind your ribs, that invisible current tugging you towards something unnamed. It is not anxiety, it is alignment. Your soul remembers a chapter you have yet to read, and within its pages lies a familiar face trembling, hesitant, a face you once loved, a face that departed, a face now returning not to be what they were, but to ask who you have become. There is a bittersweet sadness to this kind of return, because it does not seek to restore what was, it seeks to illuminate what is. They will not recognize the you who greets them now, for the you they knew was wrapped in softness and hope, still waiting to be chosen. But now, you are something entirely different. You are no longer waiting, you are watching, you are witnessing, you are awake. The soul that once walked away did so not because you lacked something. They left because your presence demanded truth, and they were unprepared to live in it. Yet, time has its own mercy, and in that mercy, life has humbled them, not as punishment, but as preparation. They have tasted what it feels like to be surrounded, yet unseen, adored, yet not understood. And in that quiet ache, they remembered you. But this time, the remembering comes with reverence, not the kind that pleads, but the kind that bows. They now see you not as the one they lost, but as the one who set them free. Your love was always a liberation, disguised as longing. And now that longing has ended, not because the story is over, but because your soul has caught up, you will look into their eyes and see echoes of laughter that once healed, silences that once hurt. But you will not be pulled under, for your ground is now firm. You no longer seek to be rescued. You are the earth that rescues. In this truth, you become untouchable in the most sacred way. This person may apologize, or they may not. They may stay, or they may disappear again, but none of it matters as it once did, because your peace is no longer contingent upon their return. It is rooted in your own becoming. The soul that once fractured for them is now whole without them, and that wholeness is what they will feel most acutely. You are no longer just a memory. You are a mirror. When they see you, they will confront the parts of themselves they have been avoiding, the dreams they abandoned, the truths they buried. They will remember what it felt like to be seen without masks, to be loved without conditions. And whether they stay or not, that memory will follow them forever. This is not just a chapter. This is a completion. The karmic threads are unraveling. The soul contracts are softening. And what remains after the pain, after the silence, after the death is clarity. You no longer need to explain your heart. You simply are your heart. And that is more powerful than any vow, any closure, any return. Let them come. Let them speak. Let them tremble in the presence of your peace. You no longer need anything from them. You are not the echo. You are the source. In the stillness of that truth, even the loudest grief becomes quiet. There is a sacred silence that arrives at the end of a long healing. It does not announce itself. It does not demand attention. It simply rests within you, soft, steady, unmistakable. You have entered that silence. You did not chase it. You became it. After all the tears, the spirals, the desperate questions whispered into pillows and starlit skies, peace has finally found you, not in their return, but in your own presence. They may stand before you now or soon, with eyes searching for the past, but you are no longer the past. You are the proof of transformation. You loved them when it cost you dearly. You forgave them before they even realized they needed it. Now, they see that love not as weakness, but as the miracle they never truly deserved. This person who once cracked you open is now faced with the truth. They never destroyed you. They revealed you. In their absence, you grew roots in their silence. You found divinity in their rejection. You remembered who you are, beyond the need to be chosen. You are no longer a question awaiting an answer. You are the answer that no longer seeks approval. Let them come with words. Let them come with sorrow. Let them express all the things they couldn't voice while you were breaking. It will not change you because you have already changed. You have learned how to hold yourself without their hands, how to walk alone without fear, how to pray not for their return, but for your own strength to endure. You do not need a storybook ending. You are the story. You were never merely the chapter they closed. You were the sacred thread they could never untangle. Now, as they attempt to trace their way back through timelines marked by absence, they will find you whole, luminous, unbothered by what could have been, because you finally understand if it was meant to stay, it would have known how to hold you. This is the moment when endings transform into beginnings, not the kind that circle back, but the kind that rise forward. The pain did not come to punish you. It came to prepare you for a love that does not waver, for a peace that does not falter, for a self-acceptance that requires no proof. You have earned this with every breath that trembled but did not cease. With every night you held your own breaking heart. With every moment you declared, "I will love again, even if it is just me." You are not fragile. You are sacred. You do not need to be understood. You are here to be felt. Those who could not feel you were never meant to walk alongside you, but they were meant to awaken you. And awaken you. They did. You are awake now to your worth, your magic, your divine assignment. Tonight, a chapter closes quietly, powerfully, without fanfare or final words. You need not know what comes next, for you are what comes next. You are the mountain, the garden, the light in the dark. You are the prayer someone else is whispering now, the healing that someone else is just beginning. Though they may never articulate it, their soul will always remember yours. The Taurus soul does not seek closure. It becomes the solid ground where all stories find their end.